We've got Sam, not Vanderpump. We have Mr. Jason Greystone. What's going on in the world at the moment with everyone being an expert on socials?
My account alone has got probably 200 fake accounts.
I Instagrammed one of them and I went, would you mind terribly not scamming my friends out of money? I got a reply. I felt really bad.
Instagram's aftercare is non-existent. TikTok's aftercare. It's all non-existent.
Why aren't these accounts being verified?
They don't care.
Why are podcasters bringing on horrific criminals?
It's all about the crime that they committed and, you know,
But the host laughs with it. But this is how sick it is. I stabbed him 36 times. It baffles me.
They're not held accountable. They can cripple a government.
TikTok is a weapon. There could be a whole generation of 13-year-olds seeing stuff that we're not seeing. That's really fair.
In China, the algorithm leads to education. In the US and the UK, it leads to glamorizing the high life of criminality.
And OnlyFans.
If I have a daughter, I'm terrified.
I don't know if marriages will survive long term. I think we're in a world and a society now where everyone's in a dilemma. Everyone's in a midlife crisis. I've got to make more money.
The reason people aren't content is because they see other people with more and they see people get more and they want more.
Sometimes I think I wish I could just go back.
I don't like the time I live in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be a fun one. We've got Sam, not Vanderpump. We have Mr. Jason Greystone returning, both of you. Well, Sam actually for a third time now.
Yeah.
How you doing it?
Yeah, no, it's good. Don't know. Must be liked by you.
Boys, it's gonna be a fun one. Look, for anyone who is sticking around to listen and watch this podcast, whatever platform you're listening, we are going to talk about money. We're going to talk about some business, but we're also going to talk about more current topics around social media, some of the good, the bad, what on earth is going on in the world. Basically, we're going to put the world to rights. I'm going to start with you, Jason. What's going on in the world at the moment with everyone being an expert on socials, and how damaging is it to people who are actually legitimate and we're trying to offer some value?
I think there's an opportunity there to have a stage where you can pretend to be anything you basically, if you've got enough confidence. There's a saying, he who has the most confidence and conviction sets the rules for society, and that's basically what happens in politics, happens in presidency, and people are figuring that out, that they've just got to be a bit cocky, a bit confident, and if you're believable enough, you're going to get a following, and you just need just my account alone has got probably 200 fake accounts of me, and they all pretend they're me, and they're making some money. Is it sustainable? No. But the thing is, people see the opportunity of that to make a quick buck, and they go for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it right? Is it wrong? You can look at it two ways, right? If you're gullible enough to kind of follow along, and maybe lose some money following these people, you're going to learn some lessons, and from those lessons, maybe those lessons could save you money in the long run, and there's some good to come out of it. But yeah, unfortunately, they're just everywhere.
It's crazy. Don't believe everything you see. I mean, I remember messaging you because you've had a few recently, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I actually messaged you saying, mate, I've just lent you like $5,000. And you went, you're joking.
Yeah. No, you scared
But you're getting them as well.
Well, yeah, they've actually just recently popped. Actually, since I did the podcast, the first podcast with you.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, maybe there's something going on here. But since that, and since doing like a bit more with socials and stuff, they've actually arisen a bit more, and probably displaying what I'm doing with business a bit more on social media. I feel like people are, like you say, looking to make a quick buck. Copying our account, and obviously realizing that you do something like foreign exchange, completely misunderstanding what I do, by the way, believing that I was doing speculating, getting people to invest with them. And I have a bit of fun, right? So I Instagrammed messaged one of them and I went, would you mind terribly not scamming my friends out of money? And I got a reply. I was very, very surprised. I thought that he was going to just block me, like a lot of them do. They just block you because they don't want you to report them and so forth. But he replied an absolute essay, and he went, oh, I'm very, very sorry. I'm from, a third world country. I'm really, really struggling. I can actually do all your social media for you.
Wow.
I went, that was a good pitch, right? And he pitched me. I went, this is the weirdest interview I've ever given for someone to get a job with me, try and scam my friends. Oh yeah, sure, have a job. I don't know if it works like that, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting actually hearing the other side. I actually felt quite bad afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was actually posting everything on my story to let everyone know, you know, this is a fake, this is the guy, he's actually trying to scam people. And when he actually sent me that essay, I felt really bad. I was like, I didn't repost that because I didn't want to actually, I felt bad, yeah.
The thing is though, a lot of the scammers, they are from these places where they probably are struggling. But do you know one thing? I do see a pattern. The people that they're copying, they seem to be a lot of the people that are quite confident in terms of putting the message out there and do have high engagement. And I think that they target those people that I think when they're putting out videos that, you know, they're genuine videos and they're thinking, well, this person's being listened to. That's what it seems to be, is
the trusted people.
The trusted people that they're, and that is very much the negative side of socials, because let's face it, Instagram's aftercare is non-existent. TikTok's aftercare, it's all non-existent, which is insane, which almost brings me on to the question, like, is there an agenda beyond this? Is this set on purpose? Why is there no aftercare?
I did notice just a few days ago, actually, my following dropped 400 people. So what that usually means is that they're clearing out something, hopefully, that they're clearing out some bots, clearing out some fake accounts, hopefully that Meta are working towards, you know, doing some cleanup work.
You'd think with the technology available, it should be rather easy. I mean, there should be, I mean, obviously the blue tick thing's a big thing that's going on at the moment. And, you know, some people want it for the hype of having a blue tick. But actually the use of it doesn't necessarily have to be a blue tick, but why aren't these accounts being verified?
Yeah.
Why are we still, in a day like today, where people can be, you know, racist, bigots on social media, there should be accountability and verification towards these accounts. A quick ID check when you sign up. Yeah. You know, just with anything, if you get a bank card, if you get a mobile phone, you take someone's ID. Now, it doesn't have to be, you know, it can be held in a secure way, you know, but there needs to be more accountability. And you wonder why, in this day and age, where there is so much, you know, what there should be safety precautions out there, why Meta technically aren't being held accountable a bit more for, you know, bots, fake accounts.
I honestly believe it's just because they don't care. You know, they literally don't care. It's a business. They've got investors to answer to. They want to make as much money as possible. When you sign up to these accounts, you sign up saying, you know, you basically sign the waiver, and then who cares if you're being scammed? They just want users.
And the problem is, what we're all going to do as consumers, if we get shut down, we have to open up another one, because a lot of our businesses rely on the exposure. So it's not even like we can rebel and go, well, I'm not coming back onto your platform, because 2 minutes later you're like, I kind of need it.
I mean, I've had situations like that in the past, and it's not like you're going to rebel against these, you know, big public companies, because there isn't really anywhere else you're going to go. What?
Yeah.
Oh, screw you, Twitter. Screw you, Twitter. Screw you, Instagram. I'm not going to use you. Yeah, like they're going to give a crap.
Even on Twitter, though, I think Elon Musk, I think he's setting a standard with the verification thing. And I think they're going to follow suit. You know, now Meta Verified's coming into play.
It just seems more level-headed. I watched that interview with him recently in the BBC interviewer, and he said, okay, what experiences have you had in terms of this negativity that's all over Twitter? And the guy was like, well, you know, it's just my feed's covered up on it, and, you know, I'm getting it. And he went, well, when was the last time you used it? Well, about 3 weeks ago. Okay, tell me what negativity you saw on Twitter, because I do feel like Elon is trying to be more hands-on and be like, I want the platform to be the way that I want it to be, and I'm gonna oversee it. And I think, like you say, these other platforms, they're just like, do you know what? It's absolute cash cow. People are going to come back anyway. I mean, when TikTok, this whole threat was that TikTok's going to be like wiped out in the US, everyone was saying, put the TikTok logo on all other platforms as your profile photo. I don't think that's really going to stop TikTok being banned in America. I just don't think it has the clout, and that's the negative side, which I want to bring on to both of you. We were just talking about it off camera. At the moment, I'm going to start with this because this has been something that's getting on my gripe, is those who host a podcast. Like, this is a privilege to host a podcast, but why are podcasters bringing on horrific criminals, essentially, explaining in horrific detail what they've done to people, so the younger generation are watching this thinking they've done these insane crimes where they've hurt people so badly and threatened them, but we're giving them a platform? What's that all about?
I mean, I think it goes back to accountability again. And it's a real shame, you know, in this day and age, if let's say us individuals who aren't, you know, let's say got 100 million followers or billion-dollar companies, if we do something, we're held very much accountable to it. Too much so, to be honest. You know, we live in a very, very much a world where nowadays we are essentially censored. You know, people get cancelled left, right, and centre. Maybe for the right reason, maybe for the wrong reason. But when it comes to big companies, big corporations, big individuals, they're not held accountable because they make too much money. They can cripple a government. So it's the lack of accountability that they will bring these, big, and I've gone on to a bit of extreme here, but, going back to the people that are being brought on, I look at Lad Bible, and maybe they did this more in a documentary sense. I mentioned this off camera, where they were interviewing a gangster, but they are glamorizing, I think is the word you used, these criminals. They're making it cool that it's, trying to do the legend kind of thing. Okay, we want to report it, but let's stick away from glamorizing it. And you see loads of podcasts. Again, you mentioned, the whole, what's the app where you sell pictures? OnlyFans. I mean, the idea that girls, if I have a daughter, I'm terrified that she's going to see these podcasts with these girls that are doing OnlyFans and go, wow, I can sell pictures of myself and make $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sad world.
That's the problem. What do you think?
I think it's all about what they're glamorizing. If they're bringing on ex-criminals that are really reformed and the podcast is about how they've turned a corner in their life, absolutely inspiring, and that's something you should... But they tend to not glamorize that. And if you see the snippets and the adverts, it's all about the crime that they committed, and
But the host laughs with it, as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a bad message, and I totally agree. There should be some accountability of how that gets censored and how that gets filtered, because, as you say, kids are going to watch it and think, if I go and kill some old deer, I'm going to be on a podcast. I'm going to be celebrated as a...
if you're a parent, I've got a 9-year-old son, and as a podcaster myself, to see other clips where the podcast host is laughing along with the guest that's done horrific crimes whilst in prison or outside of prison, and then they're laughing about it, and it's all funny, but of course it's getting views, isn't it? Look at my page. What sustainability is that even for a podcast? Like my podcast, I want big brands to reach out and be like, we want to work with you. How can a big brand like Disney or, Lynx or whoever, big companies, Nike, Adidas, JD, why are they going to reach out to someone who's promoting OnlyFans on someone just selling themselves? And this message to youngsters who are watching it, and that's the thing with TikTok especially, like you've got youngsters watching it, it baffles me. I can't get my head around it.
Well, and it comes to a place where you have filters in other aspects of films and stuff like that where they can't, kids can't watch a certain film above a certain age.
Amen.
Good stuff there. But TikTok, like you say, isn't filtered like that. You can get feed through, which is, like you say, these guys in balaclavas on laughing about how they've gone. And you're thinking, how is that allowed to go out to millions of people? Why isn't that shut down? Yeah, there's a real, like I said, it's a very, very strange world we live in right now that, it's very much the individual can't say anything in fear of getting cancelled. But then at the same times, you have got things which are being glamorized, and if it makes money, don't get censored at all, don't get shut down. And it's like, it's just,
But this is how sick it is. I totally agree with what you were saying, because I know obviously, you do a lot of work in this area and stuff like that. And I'm such a big believer in taking a message from an upbringing or a childhood or an experience in life that's been really hard. But you don't have to go into detail about how you've mutilated someone and you've torn them apart and slashed them and stabbed them. That's irrelevant. But unfortunately, that's the part that everyone wants to hear. And that's the title. I stabbed him 36 times.
Yeah.
Why?
But you know what, right? None of these people actually want to talk about that. So it's these companies that are persuading them that that's a good thing to bring up. Because I work for Key for Life. I go into prisons and I work with 18 prisoners. I mentor one personally. And none of these people want to talk about their past. They don't want to talk about it because it's something they're trying to turn a corner on. They want to leave it behind.
And if you do, they're still a criminal.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, they don't want to talk about it, right? So they're trying to move on. They're trying to develop. They're trying to get out of that life. So that means that these people must be going, oh yeah, talk about that. It's good. Yeah. Bring back that. But they don't actually want to talk about it.
It's for the views.
So it's actually the company or the podcasters that are encouraging it rather than, oh, this criminal just knocked on our door and wanted to talk about all the people he'd raped. Yeah. Well, that doesn't happen.
I don't know where it stops. I mean, I've never even thought of it like that. You've got films that you go, right, you've got to be 12, you've got a 12A, you've got 15, you've got an 18, it's regulated. You can't literally come into this building and watch that film unless you're of age. But I will tell you this: what's really scary about TikTok, and what does worry me to some degree, is that a family member of mine, her friend, her daughter was on her account, and she was like dancing, but didn't realize the trending music she was using in the background. Now her daughter's very young. She was dancing to like Nicki Minaj explicit music, but the young girl doesn't understand the music that's being played. But who on the end of the camera is watching that video that's insane, and that's worrying. So I don't know what the answer is, but I do think conversations like this need to happen, because I tell you what, you search this, these conversations aren't happening about it.
Yeah, we need to be having more conversations on how more safety can be out. You know, there needs to be more governance on and filtering and safety around social media and content that gets out there, because it's too easy. It's too easy to post the wrong and harmful content, and it leads back around to fake news, and that's what really annoys me as well. When you get these sources of fake news, and I'm to blame for it myself. You know, you slide through TikTok, you slide through Instagram Reels, and you see snippets, and you go, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." But where's the source of news coming from?
Yeah. And because you look at it for more than 3 seconds, it's going to send you more and more of it, and it's almost like there's these layers of underground on the, you know, that goes under the radar. So there could be a whole generation of 13-year-olds seeing stuff that we're not seeing. We don't see it. So a whole generation's being influenced a certain way without anyone above the age of 18 ever seeing any of that stuff, which that's really frightening.
That is.
And there should be the tools in place. You know, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. They should have the tools in place for that safety, and it should be law. You know, but there are always, you know, scapegoats or, you know, ways they can escape these laws so it doesn't impact them. I mean, obviously, the whole funny thing that everyone knows about TikTok is obviously it's a Chinese company, right? Mm-hmm. Algorithms are different in China to what they are in the UK and the US, and you know, some have conspiracy theories about it. But it is evident that in China, the algorithm leads to that of education and actually safe things. And in the US and the UK, it leads to glamorizing the high life of criminality.
And OnlyFans. And when you think about that, TikTok is a weapon.
Yeah.
It's a weapon.
But that's yeah, but do you know what? OnlyFans is destroying long-term relationships. And, you know, this is worrying, because when you look at OnlyFans for a male or a female, what's concerning is once you put yourself on that platform, it's very hard to have a loving relationship when you turn around to your partner and going, "Oh, okay, what was your previous job?" Well, I've actually been with 100 men, or I've been with 100 women. Sorry, what? Sorry, what would you mean? Yeah, don't go online. Let's just don't put my name. Do you see how does a long-term relationship in the future survive when this is being glamorized to so many young women and men? I put out this thing. I don't know if marriages will survive long-term.
Well, I think you can look at the divorce rate. I mean, whether this is a good thing or bad for it is a very, very delicate subject. But obviously, divorce rates since the 1920s to the early 2000s. Have gone up dramatically. You know, there's a lot of good to that. Let's not get it wrong. You know, there are people which did need to leave things, but at the same time, people give up on relationships too easily. It's sad enough to say. People leave too easily. People, you know, it is sad in that sense. But there are good parts to that as well.
What do you reckon?
I think there's a lot of parts to that. The fact that a lot of people are more into self-development now. There's more information available. People are becoming more attuned to themselves as well. You know, it's not just all bad. There's people who are really becoming enlightened and realizing that they've got happiness in themselves. So there's less seek for companionship.
Yeah.
So there's that side of relationships as well, where you're happy in yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone to make you happy, and therefore actually having a wife or a husband's more of a headache.
Yeah.
You know, so people are becoming more wise to that and evolving around that, so that could be a contributor. But
there's a lot more resources to kind of learn that you could cope on your own. I think that's what people, and also I think people at an older age, what I'm seeing, they feel like they've got more to give, so they spend longer time on their own and perhaps don't settle down, and they get that age is getting a little bit later in life. One thing I saw really interesting on TikTok, and I just thought, oh my God, I've been a sucker to this before, and we all are. A guy stood on stage, big arena, and he stood in there and he went to light a cigarette, And everyone went like this. And he went, okay, this is the really interesting part. And he was articulated. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Really articulated. And he said, do you know that 80% of all cancer is not caused by cigarettes? That is a myth. Cancer is actually hereditary. And do you know you're 9 times more likely to get cancer from eating a Mars bar than you are a cigarette? Facts will show, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, and then he paused and he went,
who believe me?
Raise your hand if you believe me, what I just said. And everyone was like, and he went, look how easy people are manipulated by someone who can talk well, cut out the ums, the buts.
Made, right?
So how crazy is that? So what's the message to people who are
Chinese
watching?
whispers.
Yeah, what is the message to people who are just constantly on their feed listening to so-called experts all the time?
Andrew Tate, I like to mention him a lot, right? You know, he says things with conviction, and he is, you know, talking to impressionable, you know, 12 to 18-year-olds who, when they hear it from the words of, you know, from the mouth of Andrew Tate, and they, you know, they see what, you know, they go, oh, he's rich. He's rich. He's got money. He's got nice cars, got nice watches. Oh, he must know what he's talking about.
I honestly, I say it before, I say it again. The biggest skill that any kid can learn or anyone can learn is being able to take opinions and advice from people and synthesize a paradox. So there's like the Gary Vee saying you should hustle, and you know, give everything away for free and then make a sale, like jab, right hook. And then there's Grant Cardone going like sell. It's being able to just take that information and go, well, you know, I agree with that bit and I agree with that bit, and this is where I want to go. So this is my opinion. Yeah. And when you can do that, you don't look up to people. You just see that for what it is. You see Andrew Tate and you go, well, yeah, you know. Yeah. So,
be content. I think that's something I want to touch on now and give back to the audience. Anyone watching, is that taking that, you know, both sides of the coin, forming that middle decision, which is almost slowing yourself down, because we're in a real like fast-paced world. Yeah. So when you slow down and you make a decision, you see things in a little bit more clarity. But the problem is, I think we're in a world and a society now where everyone's in a dilemma. Everyone's in a midlife crisis. I've got to make more money. The cost of living. Do you not just think, I just slow down and think, I don't think about it too much. I don't watch the news. I don't consume myself. So I'm almost slower. Although I'm involved in fast pace, I'm slower in my thinking.
Yeah, I think that's also, I blame social media for a lot. I really do, as much as I do love it, and I think it can be a great tool and it can be used well, and it's nice to, you know, for example, old relatives can see what I'm doing in my life who I don't see that often. They live far across the world. There's many pros to social media, but I am a big hater of social media in so many other senses as well. And I believe the reason people aren't content is because they see other people with more, and they see people get more and they want more.
But they're looking up to one side, right? They're not seeing the other side. And that goes back to my point. If you could just know that everything's half true. Everything's half true. That's it. Whatever side you're deciding to see, you've probably got a little bit of a fantasy about that, and you want to believe, you know, like that's why they say never meet your heroes, right? You don't want to meet your heroes because you don't want to see that they're actually a real person. They've got all the traits that we've all got,
and they don't film the bad side.
Exactly.
Who it's very rare, and some people do because they are trying to create that whole concept. But if you go, right, I've just made a deal where I've made £10,000, you're going to show that on social media if you're trying to promote finance. Do you show them about the deal which went wrong and one of your clients, you know, lost, let's say...
took you to court.
Yeah, took you to court. You showing that on Instagram? No, of course not. So you see only the good stuff, you don't see the bad stuff. And that's what this is why we've got such a problem with mental health at the moment as well. Yeah. Because everyone thinks everyone's life is perfect. And I do the same things myself. So it's very easy to sit here and say it. Yeah. But actually to not do it. And that's why I use social media, but I really do stick with it. You know, the funniest thing is I started using it more when I went for a breakup. Yeah. The moment I started breaking up with someone, I was all over
let's talk
social
about
media.
that. Shit. I mean, you've teed that up nicely.
Hey everyone, this podcast was kindly sponsored by Shield, who helped us deliver this podcast along with all the social media that goes with it, helping us to get out to more people, which leaves us just to focus on creating more great conversations. If you want to start, delegate or optimize your social media or podcast, or even if you want to build your very own online course or program, get in touch with the team at shieldglobal.io.
Do you know what? We're going to go into it. That's the other thing with touching on the whole social media, and it's got so many pros. It really has. But I think you need that, as I've said before, that disconnection of using it for the marketing purposes, for the growth, for the personal development, for meeting great people, and also trying to see through these blurred lines. But relationships now in a very fast-paced world, with this whole thing with OnlyFans. I mean, not being funny, but this OnlyFans is becoming like, it's spoken about as much as Amazon FBA. Let's face it, it's up there on par. I mean, that's my kind of confusion, how relationships are ever going to work when someone's being told at 18, when you're legal to start these platforms, you can make 100 grand. Why are they going to want to build a sustainable business legitimately when, quite frankly, male or female, whip off your clothes?
Oh wait, male can do it too. Okay, wait, well, I'm leaving.
I mean, I'm thinking
Sign
we
me
got
up.
3 guys. I mean, after the bike ride, we're going to be ripped, right?
Yeah.
What was your biggest video? But yeah, I mean, what's the thought on it? Like, how do relationships really in this world survive, or do they not?
Oh man, I think relationships. I mean, I've been married for 30. I've been with my wife for 20 years, so I don't really have the not pleasure.
He's watching. I love the way time has slowed down much.
I've never seen him stutter so much.
Let's just say I'm glad that I haven't had to navigate those kind of apps.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, OnlyFans, this is just coming from I don't know if it's like an innocent business mind. I saw it as just like a Patreon where you can just build a fan base. But then obviously for some reason it's gone down the route of porn, and basically, and maybe it will come round to that eventually. Maybe it will, but
I think the numbers are too big. That's what's worrying. The numbers are, I said to someone, everyone comes to a price. Sam, I'll give you 100 quid to go do something for me. And it's going to be, well, no, 100 quid, is it worth it? We're going to get to a number eventually where you're going to go, that's pretty juicy.
I mean, that's scary. It's how high would I have to go on the number, and you'll suddenly see everyone's tipping scale go.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that, but yeah.
Everything's got a number, a sale.
I guess I just can't believe the numbers that they're doing. I mean, they're doing 500,000. Like some of them do 500,000 a month.
I will say quickly though, I'm serious. Yeah. Your eyelashes could probably pull in some big numbers.
Well, let's try.
I'm just saying.
I keep saying to the missus, she should sell her feet. I don't mind. If
and
we're
treading
make
mayo.
£100 a month.
And treading mayo.
Sell the feet. I'm up for.
Yeah, I've actually had that conversation as well. Funny enough, believe it or not, about the whole feet and treading in mayo. I mean, we need to move on from that one. That's for sure. But no, look, it is a weird world. But then, isn't it weird how we can open up apps and you can swipe to see the right categories for who you want to be with?
Man, I think it comes. Yeah, there's no legwork, is there, anymore? It's very instant gratification. Flick through a kind of catalogue of who you want, give one a go.
Yeah, it's like shopping at Argos.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah. It's nuts for a relationship.
I really don't feel like I can comment because I just don't. It's well.
You haven't had to navigate it, and I think it's a blessing. Do you not think? This is a funny one. Do you not think? I mean, I weren't around then, but the 80s and I was in the 90s. But do you not think the 80s and the 90s were just more simple times? Like it was after the war, but it was before major internet. I mean,
Sam was born. Right?
Yeah, I was born 97. So
still swimming. Yeah. But I think it was a simple time.
For me personally, I get real bad nostalgia for 80s, 90s when I hear the music, when I think about the times. Sometimes I think I wish I could just go back for just a short time. I'll hear a record. And I don't know if that strong nostalgia is something to do with me as a person and something maybe me growing up or my values, but I don't know if it's just the day we live in now. There's something about that rawness that I really, really, really miss.
I don't think it's his age. I don't think it's even because I look at what the 70s used to be, and just the class from it. I love the music. I don't like the time I live in.
Yeah.
I hate being I'm close to being a Gen Z baby, and I hate these terminologies. I really do. They wind me up.
Yeah.
I hate it. But I have to say it.
Yeah.
Because we are in that sphere right now. But I look at the 80s, the 70s. I love the music. I love the classical cars. I love the attire they wear. And even more so, the time period I really, really love. take away, not that much electricity and stuff. The 1920s. I just love the class element to it. I mean, it was fine if you're an aristocrat. Probably not great if you're in the working class and you had no electricity and no hot water. Yeah,
I mean, Sam, give me a job.
I mean, it depends. It's very, very select 1920s I want, but I don't like the time we live in.
I think that's common. I mean, look at all the programs, the Stranger Things, and there's other programs out where it's all 90s based, 90s theme music.
It's coming back, isn't it?
It was just cooler.
I think it was just a nicer time, and there wasn't so much going on. There wasn't so much in your face. And now, I don't know about you, but everything after the pandemic, everything with like all of us getting these messages, everything going on with China, everything going on in the world, it does seem very uncertain. And, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm not overly bothered about myself, but it's when we look at our kids and, and kids to be and stuff like that. Like you're considered as a generation alpha. Yeah. Like, what does that even mean? I heard a term the other day.
It just all seems lost, doesn't it?
Yeah, everyone's losing their mind.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
I mean, we're going to talk about the Fisher them.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched a lot of Piers Morgan stuff recently. I'll tell you what my gripe is. I want to kick this off. I listened to something the other day. It's what they're teaching in schools. I actually, heard something the other day. What they're teaching in schools, I think just let kids be kids, for Christ's sake. Just let kids learn, let kids enjoy what is a childhood, opposed to saying, by the way, I know you weren't thinking about it, you've just eaten your Marmite sandwich, by the way, you haven't eaten your crusts, but you might be something else. Just to sow the seeds. Yeah. I know you were fine there playing with your Connect 4, but on the way out of the dinner hall, you might be something else, and so might he or they.
You've hit a nail on the head. You're actually starting to plant. The kids aren't thinking about this. They're blimmin' kids. Yeah. I mean, why are you making the kids think about this? It's not like it's just the whole construct. And then to go so far, and I think Sam Smith is doing it all for a ploy because his career was going down the toilet and he hadn't actually sold anything in a long time. But this whole Fisher them is absolutely absurd. Yeah. I mean, there is just biology, there's just male and female.
Well, a counter, and I'll ask you, do you think there's an agenda behind it? So let's look at we're looking at the front cover, but behind it, do we believe this whole people are pulled into rooms for chats and saying, this is basically you will be set for life, but you are a puppet, and when we pull the string, you do. Is it legit?
This is proper conspiracy theory stuff we're getting into, but I would...
Gucci Mane?
There is... going back to your point, right? It doesn't exist like racism. Racism doesn't exist unless you put it into existence. So you have to bring your kids up saying, watch those white people, they're evil, or watch those black people, they're evil, right? The kid doesn't know. The kid just born and wants to play with his friends. So you have to actually indoctrinate that into someone. And when you do that, there's chaos. You've caused both sides. It's like literally in the Bible, it's like ate from the apple of good and bad or something. That's literally the split judgment which created chaos, right? Yeah. So when you do that, you've got consequences. Now again, what you're saying about, is it an agenda? I don't know, perhaps during the pandemic, I think a lot of people wanted stuff to moan about and wanted to feel meaning, and there was that aspect of it. But if there is an agenda of it, I mean, it'll seriously damage a generation. It's a weapon. But
I think that's happening though. That's what I mean, because I use a prime example. I don't know what the answer to this would be. I would love to hear someone say, depending on what skin color you are and stuff like that, there's certain racist words that are not to be used open in the public, and that depending on your skin color, you cannot use certain words. But what's crazy is you'll sell it publicly to someone, let's say a young white person who buys an album, undoes the window, blares the music. Is he allowed to sing every single word in a certain area? But it's been sold commercially. So there has to be an agenda to push that, to create a problem all the time. If you haven't got a problem, no one's making money, right? If everyone gets on, where's the money being made? Yeah. So it's always, that's what frustrates me is, and I would say for anyone who is over consuming things, is that's where you have to slow down and go, do you know what? I'm going to try and live a more peaceful life, because there's a bigger picture here, and I'm not going to get caught up in the commotion.
Don't get caught up in it, and it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I think you make a perfect example. You have to breathe light into these things. You have to indoctrinate these things. And you can quite easily go around the world being a Karen. Put that in quotation marks. I love it.
By the way, my mum will literally sit on the iPad watching Karen. She loves it.
You know, and again, there's nothing wrong with her Karen. You know, so let's just put that in quotation marks because obviously, you know, but there are the Karens out there who go around and they have to breathe light into these things. They have to cause the problems. You know, sometimes people aren't even thinking of these things. And, you know, just because the words came together in a certain way, it looks like someone said something and it's actually not that. And it's like, you're breathing, it's like, wow, I didn't even look at it like that. I didn't even think of it like that. But you've now made that an issue. And it's like, why do you need to go around? And it just goes back to the world we live in at the moment. There's so much people focusing on other people, having to critique other people. It's like, everyone just get on with themselves and be a little bit
And
happy.
I think that's because everyone's lost and they just want to be a voice, have a stamp on something, be part of a
Drama.
voice, be part of a committee, you know, be on a side. It's just like, it's like they had too much time on their hands in lockdown.
But this is a good message. Don't involve yourself in a toxic environment. People who like to gossip. There was this, I can't remember who I heard it, but I live by this now. I really like this. If anyone is coming up to you and they're about to gossip or you feel like they're going to tell you about something bad, TGU. So Jason comes up to me, Aaron, I've got something to tell you. Jason, well, let me ask you a question. Is it the truth, what you're about to tell me? No, I'm not really sure. Okay, next question. Is it good, what you're about to tell me? Look, forget all that. I want to tell you, look, Jason, final one. Is it useful to me? No, I don't think so. Right, hang on a minute. It's not the truth. It's not good and it's not useful. Jason, do one. Do you see what I mean? It's like, slow down and go through a checklist, which actually, prime example, let's use the time now to sort of tee it up. There was a video that went viral between me and you doing the podcast where you said fitness is everything because it does merges into business. It merges into a good lifestyle. It merges into good habits, time management, money management, everything, good mindset. But people kept saying,
well, people started critiquing it and I kept seeing the comments and I had to, you do this, you go through the comments and you reply and you try and, you know, speak to everyone. And I ended up going through the comments because the comments were coming back and there were people going, oh, but no, you don't have to be fit to be good in business or to make money. And it was like, hold on a second.
Who mentioned money?
That's not what we're saying. We're saying if you look, you can be good in business and you can be overweight and you can be fit. What I'm saying is whatever you're doing, you can be better while you're fit. And that is true and that is factual because it's not just about the fitness itself. It's about the routine. It's about the management of the mind over matter. It's about all of these facts. Now, it's got not to say, oh, if you're fat, you're going to be poor. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you will do better as a person if you are into the fitness thing.
Well, I love the way people were just replying, going, Jeff Bezos, Elon, and Warren. Well, but no one was mentioning money. We were just saying you're going to be better. I mean, fitness.
And in all aspects of life, not just money. We were just saying you're going to do better as a person.
Yeah.
You know, in whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And I will actually comment on the Jeff Bezos, the Elon thing. Firstly, have you seen Jeff Bezos lately? He's been getting ripped. And that's because he's been focusing more on it. And, you know, Elon, okay, not in good shape, but I'm sure he probably would say to you, if he got into a better regime of fitness, his mind would be better because he has done podcasts and videos where he says he can't sleep because his mind rattles at night. Now he's not a perfect human being. He's not God because he is the richest man in the world and he's a very, very smart one. But there are things he can do better for sure. And he will admit that he can't sleep. He can't do that. So there are things he can do in his life to make himself better. Maybe getting to the gym and being fit is one of them. Elon, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you fat.
We love you, but you look tired.
And I'm sure you're probably not.
Jason, what's fitness sort of in your regime? How does it look?
I think the standards that you have on your self-image and your body does project forward into many other things. It's almost like, well, this is the car I've got to drive my life through, and I want to look after it. And if I don't look after it and I don't care about it, why would I care about anything else? And for me, that's my take on it. And also the discipline and the habits and the routine, absolutely essential for success in anything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In terms of what you were saying about the comments, like there's always going to be an opposing opinion to every opinion, and this is the problem that people don't get. They fall into the trap of wrong and right. Yeah. And there's no wrong and right. It's just my values, your values, your values, and there's no wrong or right. And where that has a big impact is people who, you're all about using social media for your platform. People start using social media and they can't handle. So for everything that you say, you should assume there's going to be 50% of the people will disagree and 50% of the people will agree.
Yeah.
But as your following grows, you've got to handle a larger reprimand, right? So like the CEO of a company might have 100 people hate him. The president of a country might have millions of people hate him. So as you grow, there will be millions of people that love you, but there'll be millions of people that hate you, and that's a tough cookie to swallow. And people then start dimming their light and backing down because it's like, oh, can't handle it. But in actual fact, just there's going to be opposing opinions. It doesn't matter.
But they get caught in emotional competition. I think that's the problem. If you're going to start on social media, do not start it and then lose focus by looking at someone else going, oh, hang on a minute, they're well ahead of me. They've got more money than me. They've got nicer photos. They've got this, they've got that. And then lo and behold, a day's passed, 2 days, a week's gone by. You've done fuck all for yourself because you've been watching other people. And that's the problem. Everyone gets too emotionally involved in looking at everyone else. And we were talking about it before, weren't they? Everyone's, you had a guy who's out in Dubai, or he's doing very well, he's on a yacht. And it's funny because people are hating on it, but it's like, put myself here. If I put myself here, you can't take it away from me.
And just going into the fitness thing, when we made that video, I was in relative fitness. I was back in the gym. And actually, funnily enough, we're all doing this London to Brighton bike ride, which I'm sure you'll want to bring up in a second. But I've been getting back into fitness a lot more. And I've been cycling a lot, probably 3-4 times a week. And I've been just doing more walking, walking the dogs everywhere. So I've been hitting like 15 to 20,000 steps, walking on the golf course, just trying to up my average fitness. God's honest truth, my mind has been so much stronger. So I had 2 companies. One I'm trying to raise money for, things really starting to progress. Another one which was my attention wasn't fully there. And I was giving myself the excuses that, okay, it was still doing very well, just it wasn't growing anymore. And I was giving myself the excuses that I was focusing on this other business. Since I got back into my routine of fitness and being more active and less drinking, getting rid of those bad habits, honestly, a lot less drinking, all of a sudden my attention's been way more. Not only have I still been raising money for this company, but I've also now been growing this company. I think I had five companies sign up to this my brokerage in the last 2 days. Yeah. So I mean that's the kind of rate we're suddenly growing at again. Is like, oh wow, we're getting like a few clients a day onboarded. Yeah. And that was just like, wow, that just came out of just getting rid of my bad habits and getting back into my fitness zone. And I actually couldn't believe it again myself. I made the video of you on it, and I surprised myself with it. Yeah. It was quite astonishing to myself.
You watched it back and you thought he knows what he's on about.
Yeah, smart guy, that guy.
That. But then let's talk briefly on people that you're around, because I can't push this message enough, is that stop worrying about making money. Just get around some really good people, perhaps are making a lot of money, because I want to quote something here. Well, I quoted this the other day and I'm going to say it here, but I'm going to be working with yourself, Jason. I feel strongly that there's 500,000 in sales within up to an 18-month period. I really do. Yeah. And the answer is, why not if I'm around the right people? Yeah. I've got the work ethic. I'm willing to put in whatever's needed. Why am I not able to achieve it? And that goes for everyone. Like, everyone can have that mentality. Yeah.
I think the famous saying is, network is your net worth.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take?
Well, I mean, you go back to drinking. It's funny because in December 21, I gave up drink, and not that I was a big drinker, but I just said I'm not drinking anymore. Me and my wife gave up drinking, and the amount of people, one, that stop asking you out. Two, that find it weird that you don't drink. Why don't you drink? Like, that's the weird thing. It's like, well, why do you drink? Why do you put those drugs?
I drink protein shakes
in your body, right? Yeah, and it's like, it's indoctrination and marketing campaigns that have made us believe certain things to cause chaos, right? And it's an eye opening. But in terms of your question, when I was like 21, 22, I knew, found out that we was pregnant, was going to have a baby and all the rest of it, and I was just like, I need to get out of this town where my mates just want to go out partying. I need more than this. I want to go and build a business, build a future. And I literally moved 26 miles down the road and got away from it all. And I just said, look, I'll come back one day and see you, but I've got to get away. And we literally just moved. We didn't know anyone. Moved to a small town and built the thing in the shed. But just by shifting that whole environment, it's
clarity, isn't it?
I don't know where I'd be today if I didn't do that. I might just still be in the pub.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I found it with two of the businesses, one business I worked for and one of the businesses I started. It was very much that sales environment, heavy drinking, very out toxic. A lot. It was extremely toxic. When I actually left the second company, I was a little bit sad. To this day, I can't explain how happy I am that I'm out of that company. Yeah. The habits, the toxicity, the environment, the obsessive masculinity thing. It's actually sickening if you actually wrote a book about it. So, getting away from that.
That's an agenda, right, behind that to get you to make more sales. Because if you have a sales team, if they make, I don't know, $5,000 1 month in commission, they might be comfortable with that, but you're not comfortable with that as a business owner. So you've got to get them to make more. Yeah. So it's then go and spend all your money. Go and buy drugs. Go and go to the strip club. Go and spend it all. He's got a Rolex. Yeah. And it's all that kind of stuff to make you spend your money.
You hit the nail on the head. My first boss, who I take my hat off to him, he's very, very worked hard and, taught me everything essentially in regards to, foreign exchange and doing brokerage and building the business. So, I have to say he's done a lot right, and he did exactly what you said. He'd go, oh, you want a Rolex? Oh, let's go out and spend money. You get everyone to spend their money. And you want them all to spend all their money all the time.
Getting that cycle.
And then we'd all come back in with no money from the next paycheck and all want to earn again. And it was a toxic environment, to the point where he would throw chairs out basically the room. It was pathetic. It was ridiculous. So, I take my hat off to him in many senses. I think he was something else in many other senses. But it was exactly that. Look, how you want to run your business is how you want to run your business. It worked for him. He does very well. I run my business very, very differently. I don't hire anyone through one of my businesses for the new business. I don't run it like that. I have a very, very different mentality. Who knows which one's better? Depends what kind of work environment.
But there is an agenda behind it.
Yeah.
With an agenda comes some chaos and some greatness. And
to earn money, you have to have a problem. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I just want to touch on, I want to offer a solution. So this is a solution for anyone in full-time employment that has a boss that can't control his emotions. For example, if you have a boss that shouts, this is exactly what you do. You go, are you all right? And then you don't say anything. You just look at them because it's actually not acceptable to throw stuff because you're on a higher pay packet. So all you do is you just go, are you all right? And then you go silent and you just make eye contact and you make them feel uneasy. And that is the answer. You don't say anything else. From there, you just remove yourself from the situation and they're going to reflect and think, that's a little bit over the top. But that's half the problem. I'll tell you what, before we wrap up, I want to get both of your takes on this. So I talk a lot about employment and stuff like this. I always get this question coming up going, well, if you're telling people to be the last one in, the first one out, what on earth would you expect from your employees? Well, first thing for me, they're not employees, they're team members, right? I'm leading from the front. Anyone who ever works with me, I'm leading from the front. I want to create an environment where everyone just loves it. An absolute buzz. Brandon B was a prime example. Studio B, it's got 15 people there. They love it. They can't get enough of it. What do you do with anyone that you work with? What's the environment you like to sort of leave for people?
Yeah. For me personally, internally, I know that everyone just goes to work for them. It's nothing to do with me. They just want to have the life that they want. So they want to get paid to have the experiences that they want. Therefore, their values dictate what they do in the role, right? So if you don't want them to go anywhere else, you just employ them on values. So we do a whole value discovery process where we understand what they love most. We send them a full questionnaire. What do you love doing? What do you spend most of your time on? What would you do Monday if you didn't have to work? And then we basically tailor a contract to them to help them see how helping us get what we want will give them more of what they want. Nice. And then we reassess that every 6 months because values change, circumstances change. And if they do leave, then it's because we're generally not a right fit. But the whole time they're there, they're there because they know it's providing them with more of what they want. Yeah. And it's fair exchange.
Yeah, fair exchange.
Yeah, I mean, when I set up my own brokerage, I was trying to get away from the toxicity, and I had 2 business partners. And although they said they very much didn't. And we very much ended up running a very similar company to the one we worked with. And really sickened me, to the point where I actually, when I left that, I was like, kind of said, if I build on this company or I start this new company, the work environment I want is, like you say, people enjoy coming to work. People want to enjoy their work so much and actually end up having respect for the people they work with, that they actually end up performing better. And, you know, the idea that you need to be tough and all of this and have a toxic work environment to have a good performing business is rubbish.
Yeah.
You look at a company like Google, one of the biggest companies in the world, and their employment packages and how they treat their employees, they give them places to basically be, you know, their own person inside the office. It's not a work environment. It's a living environment. They can step away from their desk, go to the gym for an hour. That's the environment Google have created. So the idea that you need this toxic masculinity in an office to create a business that makes money is just complete wrong. Yeah. And just look at a company like Google, multi-billion-pound company, and they've got a lifestyle where people come and work for themselves within Google.
Yeah. And branding's a massive thing as well. Like if you use social media to build a great brand, it can work both ways, right? You can attract people. So you've got to have that great culture to then attract lots of people to come and work for you because they want to be part of a good brand that's up to something. But then if you can't do it and you're running a toxic, and you build a big brand, it works the other way. You've got all the Glassdoor, terrible place to work. This guy's and then that can have the reverse effect on you, and you can drop like a hat, drop of a hat, you're gone.
It's insane.
I think that I'm not going to bring up the names of the companies, but I keep on hearing things, and these companies don't last long. If they're built in toxic work environments, especially when they go too big, they'll come crumbling down.
Yeah.
Like Hustlers University.
Yeah.
Toxicity doesn't have longevity in it.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Or it has a high turnover and survives, but never really has like full growth.
Exactly.
Because a high turnover, I just want to sort of finish on a point that everyone, I really want to push this actually, because I know I get a lot of DMs, people saying I'm in this situation in employment, stuff like this. So if you are fully employed or part-time, I always have to include part-time because I've had people in the messages going, well, I'm part-time though, and it replies to me. But if you are in employment and you're getting someone who's talking to you just disrespectfully, you are entitled to challenge the most senior person on site. And then you have to question yourself saying, why am I not entitled? I am a human. Because they're on more money. I mean, it's nuts. The whole thing's nuts. I just want to get, as we wrap up now, one final top tip from both of you to stay mentally sane but really kind of succeed in life. Just an overview tip.
Basically, going back to what I said earlier, just there's good and bad in everything. Everything's half true. Synthesize opinions. Basically, question everything that you hear, and take actions that are truly aligned to who you want to be. Not what someone else is. You're only going to get anxiety from trying to be someone else. Try and see the good and the bad in their situation, trying to see the downsides of them, and really be a realist of going after what you want. Truly know yourself. That's what I would say.
Awesome.
See, personally, I have to say, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. I really can't, because I am the definition of someone who loves a drink, but getting away from the drinking culture. I can't believe how much it's actually transformed me within the last few months. And this is just something which when you stumble across new things yourself as you go along in years, which we always do, we're always learning, we're always evolving. And just recently I've just gone, wow, that drinking culture is toxic. And that's the biggest new thing for me that I'm saying. You know what? Everyone love a drink, have a drink on the weekend, Friday, Saturday night, but don't be stuck in what happens in a lot of the major cities is like London drinking culture, where you can't perform. You can't.
Yeah. And do you know what? I want to share, we did this on our live actually. This is my final point that I want to share. Now, I haven't got enough money. So one of the most important things to me is private medical care for my family. Because if you go on the NHS, things can take too long, cancer could spread, tumours, whatever. People can become very ill by the time someone gets a scan. This is a funny thing. A lot of people go, I can't afford private medical care. Here's a fact, right? A lot of people smoke and a lot of people drink. So let's say 20 quid on fags a week. That's to be fair, that's probably a minimum.
Beers.
That's probably a minimum, right?
Conservative, yeah.
So there's 80, right? So there's 80 times 52. So that's 4,160, right? Remember that, 4,160. Let's say a $1 a week on drink times 4. There we go. And then what we're going to do, we're going to do that by 52. That's a lot of money.
24 grand a year.
Yeah. That's like, call it 20 grand. Let's just round it off at 20 grand. So let's mix that between someone's a smoker and you can't afford private medical care for your family. Oh, I haven't got enough money for the insurance. Absolute baloney.
Probably 50,
rubbish.
60 quid a month or something.
But they're not willing to cut it out.
I think
That's
you'll have
my
a lot of
final
people
point.
come back to that saying, well, I don't spend that much on drink. Well, then let's take the bare minimum. Take the bare
Curry,
minimum.
Netflix,
So
Now TV.
let's just take everyone has probably at least one drink a week, right? Let's say one bottle of wine, or there'll be something in your life which will be £100 a week that you can cut, and that is your private medical care.
It's a basic. Call it 100. Call it 100 quid a week. Everyone, guys, thanks so much. We've thrown it out there to the world. We'll see you all very soon.